What we see in many countries is that there is a high pressure to ease certain measures, and when the governments are easing the measures, it's very important to measure what the trends are after. Do we see the increase of the cases or decrease of the cases? And in many countries they do it step by step, so they ease some of the measures, and then they see if the number of cases go up, they might go back to the previous quarantine or restrictive measures to ensure that we don't have the larger outbreak. In many of the guidance documents, we look at the 2-week period. What has happened in 2 or 3 weeks, and then we can make a decision if to go back, forward, and for that one, we need to have a very good testing system, we need to have a very good surveillance system, we need to trace every case, and we need to treat every case. So if the testing, surveillance, isolation, testing, and treatment are in place, then we can balance it with all the restrictive measures. In Ukraine, one is the number of cases that are reported. And we know that these are reported because they are tested in the PCR laboratories. We see that at the same time, majority of the cases in Ukraine are coming from 3 to 5 oblasts. So what we can assume that there are more cases. We can assume that the virus is still going out there, and that's why the protective measures are there very important. And in reality, the current quarantine is in place until the 22nd of May, and what we see in other countries, it could be also reconsidered. But at the same time, it is important, and we acknowledge that Ukraine is thinking also how to step by step start to come out of quarantine. In some countries, they are planning these steps until June, July. In countries like Denmark, they are currently planning those steps until September. And in other countries, it could go up to end of the year. I think this is the discussion also that takes place at the global level, and we are currently reviewing what is the impact for WHO, because United States of America has halted some of the financing. But at the same time, USA has always been a great supporter in the area of COVID response. They are supporting a lot of work that WHO has been doing also in Ukraine related to the HIV/AIDS, at the same time also rehabilitation, immunization services. So we are looking what is this situation for us, and most important is that we shouldn't over-politicize the COVID. It needs a solidarity. It needs that we are all together and we respond together, because this virus, as we have learned, does not know the borders of the countries. We need to learn about the public transport from other countries as well. Many countries now who are starting to relax the measures in Europe. For example, 2 days ago, we learned more what the United Kingdom is going to do, how at the same time Denmark is coming back, or what Germany or France or Italy or Spain are doing. We need to look to the public transport. One thing is also that we walk more. The second aspect is also the public transport will still have a restricted access. We see in many countries the promotion of cycling rather than taking the bus. So I think the mayors and leaders are looking to different options to ensure that the large crowds don't come together. And this is part of the exit plan. In some countries, it is going step by step. That in the beginning, it's 2 people who can be close to each other, then 4 persons, then 10 persons, then 20 persons. So it depends what is the country's exit strategy and how these groups are actually defined. I must say in the last few months we have not discussed about the cycling particularly, but before we have discussed how to ensure that Kiev could become a more healthier place. Kiev also participates in WHO Global Healthy Cities movement, and particularly with interest on physical activity. So I believe and I wish really that there are more places to cycle, there are more places to jog. I go back to the discussions of the mayor. We met and we discussed that in the winter it would be very good to have more places for cross-country skiing. So living here in Kiev, I have also personal interest that this place would become much healthier and nicer, because there is very nice to walk, bike and cycle around. Personally, I didn't go, and I would not recommend that to others as well, because I think there is still a role for physical distancing measures. And while we are enjoying the nice and warm weather, I would still call everybody to be cautious and stay safe.